Let's talk about a temporary 2-1 buy down for a mortgage. What is it? Why would we do it? What are the benefits, etc.? So first off, let's talk about what it is. So a temporary buy down just is essentially that. You're temporarily buying down the interest rate for the first 2 years of a mortgage. So the way that that works is like a 2-1 buy down means that your interest rate is 2% lower for the first year. The second year it's 1% lower, and then the third year it just goes to whatever the interest rate is. Okay. So an example would be if interest rates today are 6.5%, that first year it'd be 4.5%. Then it would go to 5.5%, and then it would be at 6.5%. Okay. So why would you do this? Well, first off, as a buyer, the benefit is that you get into the home for a lower initial payment, because as the interest rate is lower, that payment will also be lower. What I would be careful there is just make sure that whatever the payment's going to go to that third year, that you're comfortable with it. But the benefit of this is that you're essentially hoping that interest rates would improve. So let's just say right now with inflation, all the experts are talking about rates should improve as inflation comes down. Well, if that happens, you can look to refinance at any time. The nice thing is you do not lose any of the funds that are in that quote unquote escrow account. So the funds to buy down that interest rate are sitting in an account. If you would refinance in 6 months or a year or whatever it would be, that money actually goes back towards the principal when you pay that off. So you never lose that money, which is great. Okay. So why would you do this? Obviously, it gets you into a lower initial payment. That can help when you have other financial obligations, such as moving expenses or home improvements, or maybe you have something in the short term. So that's something to look at. Why would a seller do it? Because a seller would essentially be buying down your interest rate for you. You might be able to negotiate that into the offer. Well, a seller might do it because they want to sell their house. They want to move into their next house, and you have a good offer and they want to negotiate with you. And that's one of the ways that they would do it. There used to be a time where you'd see people offering a certain amount and asking the seller to pay closing costs. In a more competitive market, like what we've seen in the past when interest rates have been lower, it's been harder to do that, because as a seller, if you have 5 offers and only one of them, or say one of them isn't asking for the seller to pay for any closing costs, they might accept that one if it's a good offer. So when you don't ask the seller to cover closing costs, it actually lets your offer stand out a little bit. But right now in this market, it's turning into a buyer's market where you have a little bit more negotiating power, where you might be able to get the seller to buy down that interest rate, which would help you for the first couple of years. So the biggest thing I would say to caution you on would basically be that you don't want to get into a payment that's not affordable. Okay. So you want to make sure, worst case scenario, that if it goes to whatever the interest rate initially was agreed upon, that I'm comfortable with that payment. This is not a strategy just to get into a lower payment thinking that, oh, awesome, I'll do this and I'll go buy a car and I'll do this and this and that, whatever. This is a strategy in order to help you get into a new house and then be able to kind of cover some of those costs that come with it. So what I would recommend doing is talking to your mortgage professional to find out if it lines up with your goals and what you're looking to accomplish, because ultimately that's really what it comes down to, is what are you looking to accomplish and what are the benefits for you? Everybody has different goals and dreams that they're trying to accomplish. And so we just got to make sure that this fits into your goals. So hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Talk soon.